Good afternoon, everyone. This is the 22nd of March. I'm afraid that if you are listening to this, it probably means I'm not at school. I'm afraid that my younger daughter is not well today, so I'm looking after her at home. And I'd like you to translate this first page of chapter 43, focusing on result clauses and the previous chapter's work on indirect statements. Once you've translated it, go through it with me as we are doing now. Paucis post mensibus quintus. After a few months, paucis post mensibus quintus was sitting in the garden. Carmen meditans. Meditans there is a present participle in the nominative because it has got and it's agreeing with quintus. Cum, when Virgil burst in, valde elatus rather, very happy. When Virgil very happily burst in. Quintus, notice that E ending, obviously in the vocative case there. Quintus, come with me, hurry. Maecenus, expectat te. Maecenus is waiting for you. E dixi, I have told to him, te, you, componere, to be composing optima carmina, excellent poems. Now that sounds appalling, so let's change it around, make it sound a little bit better. E dixi, I told him, te, that you, following a verb of saying or thinking, in the case of here we have dixi, I have told him that you, componere, are composing optima carmina, excellent poems. We have there accusative infinitive structure because there's the accusative there with the te and there's the infinitive with componere. Following a verb, dixi, of saying or thinking, we have an indirect statement. I said to him that I told him that you are composing excellent poetry. Carminum tuorum pleraque. I recited to him, plera, several of tuorum carminum, several of your poems. I recited several of your poems to him. Quae, which delectant, which please him, adeo, to such an extent. You may remember in last lessons, at the end of last lesson, I introduced an idea of the result clause to you, which is followed by what I refer to as these trigger words, which are so great, that so much, that adeo, to such an extent, that. So, which pleased him to such an extent, ut, that, plus the subjunctive, velit, that wellit, that he now wants to get to know you. The reason for vellet being in the subjunctive is because it is a result clause. Maecenus erat vir insignis. Maecenus was a famous man. Vetus amicus, an old friend of Octavian. Dives erat atque nobilis. He was rich and noble, or he was a rich and noble man, qui dicebat, who used to say, I see a verb of saying or thinking, I'm looking for an accusative and an infinitive, who used to say that he had risen, that he had been born from Etruscan kings. The Etruscans, this early Italian tribe. Who used to say literally himself, to have been born. Who used to say that he had been born. What we have there is a perfect, well, what appears to be a perfect passive infinitive, but is actually a perfect active infinitive, because orium is a verb that looks passive but is active, i.e. a deponent verb. So, who used to say that he was born from Etruscan kings. Numquam. Never had he sought honours, he had never sought honours, but quamquam eques privatus erat. But although he was a private citizen, Octavian, valued him, aestimabat eum, tanti, so much, ut, we have with tanti, a trigger word, so much that, valued him to such an extent, ut, that he consuleret, that he often consulted him, de rebus consuleret, imperfect subjunctive. Why, you ask? Because it is a result clause. He consulted him about matters of the maximi superlative adjective of the irregular superlative adjective of the greatest importance. Musas colebat. Look at that. Don't make the muses your subject. They are the accusative. Look for your verb. Do your normal unseen translation tactic, which is look for your verb first. Colebat, third person singular. Look for a nominative. There isn't one there, so find it within the verb. He worshipped, he cultivated the muses, and he studebat, and he studied literature. He was cultivating the muses and he was studying literature. Multas poetas adjuverat. Adjuverat, not audiuverat, adjuverat, which is he had helped many poets, non nullos, literally not none, that's a litotes-like word, not none of whom, some of whom, acerperat, he had accepted into the number of his friends. Quorum, genitive, plural, relative pronoun. Quintus, Vergilium Secutus. Quintus, having followed Virgil to the house of Maecenus, Quintus, secutus, perfect active participle, having followed Virgil, celeriter advenit, quickly arrived at the house of Maecenus. Cum in tablinum intrabisent, when they had entered into the study, temporal clause there for intrabisent, when they had entered into the study, Maecenus was sitting at the table, legens librum, reading a book. Legens there, nominative, singular, present participle. Pluperfect subjunctive there for intrabisent, temporal clause. Maecenus was sitting at the table reading a book. Brevis statura erat. He was short in stature, ablative of quality, and a fat man, non togam. He was not wearing a toga, but a loose tunic. Very well done. I hope that all went well for you. I might just put the second passage on as well, just in case you're working very quickly. All the very best, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, you need to be learning your vocab over the holiday, the Masterman vocab over the holiday. All the best then. Bye-bye.